6, tight ends, and quarterbacks. We use this episode to basically preview whatever we want to talk about with these games, these opponents, these matchups. So we'll kick things off here, Hayden, with the Buffalo Bills at the Atlanta Falcons. Speaking about Josh Allen, who is your quarterback 1. By the way, the Falcons, coming off a bye week, run cover 3 at one of the highest rates in the NFL. Josh Allen this season completed 30 of 39 passes for 357 yards and 2 scores. And he'll be facing that on nearly half of the Falcons' defensive snaps in this game.
I have no negative notes for Josh Allen. Weird game this last one, but probably a huge bounce back spot. Everybody agrees. Pick 'em lobby at 23 and 0.3 fantasy points, easily the most at among quarterbacks. Bills' 3rd highest team total as well. So yeah, the Falcons are a feisty defense. I still think that they're a couple pieces away from like really filling things out, especially at defensive tackle, and then in the secondary, their depth over there I think is kind of lacking. So, and I think if you pulled up all of the coverage stats, not just cover 3, I bet all of them would look pretty similar.
But not as good as this one.
Yeah, no, those ones stand out. Those ones are insane.
I think it's a big James Cook week too.
Okay.
After he's getting shut down last week, I think the Falcons can get pushed around from the tackle to tackle spot.
Yep.
Jayden Daniels is your quarterback 2. This is against the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears are low-key feisty in this game, despite the Commanders being favored by 4.5 points here. Over the past 2 games, the Bears have actually done a nice job defensively in terms of stopping fantasy quarterbacks. Our buddy Rich Rebar pointed out 12 points to Dak Prescott, Geno Smith at 9.8, and that includes 6.3 and 5.6 yards per attempt.
I just don't believe it. They're missing, Jaquan Brisker, Grady Jarrett's on the injury report. Their top corners on injured reserve. Commanders 4th in projected points this week. It's actually now tied for 3rd at 27. Home game here. The Commanders offense is just hitting on Debo, hitting on the running back spot. The left tackle in a better spot than it was. This team is just filling out better this offseason, even than like last year. So I like full faith in Jayden Daniels too. I think the injury is also behind him too. So yeah, JJ McCarthy gave him 22.2 points. I think Jayden Daniels is going to take care of business.
Simple prediction for this game. Jayden Daniels has his highest rushing yard performance of the season. Now, so far that's been 21, 21, and 5 yards. That's it. It's at 45.5 in the pick 'em lobby. So they agree with me. The reason being is this Bears defense with Dennis Allen runs a high rate of man coverage. And so you're going to see Jayden Daniels, if healthy, and even if not healthy, move around quite a bit.
On that note, Nate Tice had some good metrics on Football 301 where the scramble rate and the scramble success rate in the NFL has never been higher. Highest of all time.
I was going to bring that up with Mahomes, but you beat me to it. Speaking of, that also applies to Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback 3 against the Detroit Lions. My first note, QBs are scrambling at a higher rate than ever, and Mahomes has been a weapon there. I mean, 3 scrambling touchdowns so far this season. It's an added gear and an added lever that he is pulling now earlier than ever.
Yeah, you get a safety further away from the ball. Linebackers a little bit smaller. Big Patrick Mahomes and other quarterbacks are starting to run through some tackles as well. Also, they do that stupid, like, I'm slowing up out of bounds. Nope, I trucked you again. Patrick Mahomes is the best at that. So we're getting all of that. And then on top of that, Patrick Mahomes' passing numbers, awesome. Again, he's 3rd in quarterback fantasy points this year, and that includes behind Lamar Jackson on a per-game basis. So really, it's the quarterback 2 right now. The Lions, they're missing their top 3 outside corners. Kirby Joseph, there's free safeties on the injury report. Zach Cunningham, a linebacker's on the injury report. Other players are on injured reserve as well. It's a total smash spot right now. And I think that Patrick Mahomes, despite the record, is playing like elite football. Like they've lost some like wonky games without Worthy. Their offensive line is kind of figuring things out. All that stuff is starting to settle down. More downfield reps is certainly good as well. So I'm ready for Mahomes to go crazy in fantasy like he did back in like the Tyreek Hill game.
I think Terry Arnold was playing well in the game that he left. And as soon as he left, it went to like Trey Flowers, and Amik Robinson's made some plays this year too. And there's one more guy I can't remember that they have. Anyways, they're pulling people off the street to start at cornerback at this moment.
Yep.
And that's not fun here. Okay. Just among these 3 to make it a quality 4, a Mount Rushmore, some might say, of fantasy quarterbacks. Daniel Jones is your quarterback 4 against the Arizona Cardinals. He's actually quarterback 11 in consensus rankings.
Why?
Well, you tell me. Why does he deserve to be quarterback 4?
The Colts are 4th in projected points at home against the Cardinals. Daniel Jones is second in quarterback sneaks. He has the most quarterback sneak touchdowns, now tied with Jalen Hurts for including Thursday Night Football. They're third in neutral pass rate this month. So they're passing the ball. He gets quarterback sneak opportunities, and they're projected for a lot of points. And the Cardinals defense is mediocre. Maybe they get Will Johnson for this one, but even if he is out there, I think it's a pretty beatable defense. So
Arizona is 26th in pressure rate so far this season. And like, if you keep it down to, I don't know, being the 5th or 6th worst in terms of pressuring the quarterback, then that means Daniel Jones will only have to be under pressure about 4 or 5 or 6 dropbacks this entire game. And he's made good on those moments so far this season. That's for sure. He only had to throw 5 passes in the second half of last week. I mean, they've been leading by so much. So this offense is running at the highest level, just like the other 3 that we've talked about so far.
You're not joking there. His offense has actually been the best.
Baker Mayfield is your quarterback 5 against the 49ers. You know, hand up, spent all summer. That regression is certainly going to hit Baker Mayfield at some point. It hasn't so far when it comes to quarterback passes.
This is supposed to be the bad month. You know, you don't have your left tackle, your right guard, your right tackle to start the season. And all of a sudden, without them, he's handling things. Losing Chris Godwin, it sounds like a big deal. It's really not. Like the version that we were getting with Chris Godwin, like you can make an argument that Sterling Shepard is better right now anyways as the second target. He's scrambling a ton as usual. And yeah, he's quarterback 5 in fantasy points per game right now, despite all of the bad stuff. The 49ers aren't going to have Nick Bosa. We know that. Yetur Gross-Matos, their other edge rusher, he's also not going to play. So he should have time in the pocket. I don't think the 49ers have that many dudes up front to rush the passer, at least.
Drake Maye this past week was 8 of 10 on throws of 10 or more yards down the field. When you look at the New Orleans Saints, who he'll be playing this game on the road against, the Saints are 25th in completion rate on those same throws so far this season. So I'm in. Drake Maye. What a season so far. I've loved to see it.
Yeah, he's just a total monster. He's maturing so quickly. And we haven't even seen the crazy fun out of Drake Maye where he's just, scrambling and quarterback design stuff. He's only 13 in rushing yards at the position, only 8th in carries. The reason being is because the pass game has looked so functional. So like I said, with Steph Diggs, where I had a pretty aggressive ranking with him, I think this is a matchup against a pretty static Brandon Staley cover 4, 2 deep zone defense, where Josh McDaniels, who's seen everything pretty much more than any offensive coordinator in the league, I think he's going to be able to pick apart this team. I do think the Steph Diggs just provide some yards after the catch juice, some man coverage juice, and we'll see if the Saints are actually going to get Chase Young or one of their starting corners in here.
Jordan Love is your quarterback 7. This is against the Cincinnati Bengals. If you want to talk about point spreads, which I can cite moving forward here, it's a good place to start because the Packers are 14.5 point home favorites here against Cincinnati. Anything you want to add here? I mean, the Bengals struggle to create pressure, and when they don't pressure, they get torched on every single throw, basically.
Right. Some of you guys, if you live in the right state, have point spreads and team totals and all that fun stuff. So check out the map and make sure you're on the Underdog app. More stuff than ever right now. So for Jordan Love, the 14-point spread is massive. Packers' highest team total of the week. They already ruled out Shamar Stewart, their first-round edge rusher, on the Bengals side of it. There's lots of injuries to kind of keep track of on the Packers front. Their left tackle got injured midweek, but there's a chance Aaron Banks and Zach Tom, the right guard and right tackle, return here. They've both been limited in practice. Either way, it's not like that the Bengals have like a stud defense. So they just have the game plan for Trey Hendrickson and win their one-on-one matchups on the perimeter. And I think they're very capable.
Caleb Williams, your quarterback 8. Dueling top quarterbacks in their class. Caleb versus Jayden Daniels. In this matchup a year ago, according to our buddy Rich Rebar, Dan Quinn blitzed Caleb on 37.5% of his dropbacks. That's the second highest blitz rate Williams has faced so far in his career. And even without blitzing, I think so far this year, the Commanders are generating pressure, again, above average rate in comparison to previous seasons. So while I think the Bears can be really feisty here as 3.5, 4.5 point underdogs, that is on my radar that he'll be tested here with, albeit a questionable offensive line so far.
I think the promising part is I think he's ready for the test. I just think he's been playing so much better, and coming out of the bye, I feel like there's going to be much more condensed in what they're offering in the playbook and just going to double down on the right players. And they have a good defensive line, but the secondary has been pretty hit and miss in general. So I also just like the way Caleb Williams getting outside the pocket and making some plays. He looks very fast out there. So I think that's been a quiet improvement in his game. The accuracy is a little bit better. I think a big part of the accuracy down the field was so many of those throws were outside the pocket last year, where there's more of his downfield intermediate throws are with his feet set instead of being flushed out, which is helpful. He still has some crazy misses, which I don't understand, but in general, I think this is going to be a spot where he's pressed. This team's also passing the ball more in neutral situations because more data comes in that they can't run the ball. And I don't think that's going to change. So he's going to scramble more because they're going to pass more and they're expected to lose. And the Commanders play really fast. And the Bears are playing a little bit faster than the Lions did under Ben Johnson. So
is this the first season that we have 3 double Monday Night Football games? Like, again, we have 2 Monday Night Football games. One's at 7:15 Eastern. One's at 8:15 Eastern. This is the second of the 2. I was going to say, well, in an island game, what could go wrong in terms of narratives of Jayden versus Caleb and, season-long sweeping conclusions based on single performances. But, Bills and Falcons fans won't even be watching this game right now.
Yeah, half island, I guess.
Yes.
More people are going to watch this one, though.
Both are really nice matchups in comparison to looking at like the 1 o'clock window on Sunday.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, it is dreadful.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott, speaking of one of those 1 o'clock games, Panthers, Cowboys, massive total of 49.5, with the Cowboys on the road projected for 26.25 points. Panthers defense quite vanilla in their coverages and their shells. Dak Prescott torches single high. Ejiro Evero and his defense runs a ton of single high. So Dak against a pass rush that lacks like that, I think, one true speed rusher, could have a real nice chance to, again, continue this like MVP campaign that he's putting out there.
Just keep dicing them up. The ground game has been excellent, and they're in good situations to pass the ball, and Shoddy's doing an excellent job. George Pickens has stepped up to the plate, so I agree with you. I think this is a beautiful spot for Dak Prescott. He's already the quarterback 8 in fantasy points per game. And this just on my radar. There was, for about like 30 games in a row after Prescott came back from that ankle injury, would not scramble at all. Last week, he scrambled as much as he's had since coming off that ankle injury. And I thought he actually looked kind of decent at it, picked up a bunch of key first downs. That's what separates Dak Prescott from being like the quarterback 12 on the season to being the quarterback 6. He's got the passing numbers to do that. But that's just something on my mind where if we get a couple more first downs and that all of a sudden turns into a red zone scramble and stuff, it's just been a very long time since we've seen Dak Prescott do that. And I did see that on tape last week. They
finally let Derek Brown play more and more pass rushing snaps, and he got a huge sack on Tua Tagovailoa to help that comeback. You would like to think that he would be able to beat one of these backup offensive linemen in a critical situation here too. So that would be part of it. By the way, Dallas Cowboys, many of your fans obviously live in Texas, as Hayden mentioned. Underdog has spreads and totals and team picks. We're in the prediction market game. Again, use promo code the show. Click the link in the description down below. Make a $5 fantasy entry to get $100 in fantasy bonus funds. You can make team picks right now in 16 states, including California, Georgia, Texas. Underdog available in 41 of 50 states right now. So go and play on the Dog app at this very moment. You couldn't do this a couple of years ago. You can do it right now. Matthew Stafford, talk to me. At the Baltimore Ravens, he's going to play incredibly well. He's going to have a fantastic game. The issue here, Hayden, is the Rams most likely will score 4 touchdowns. We just need 3 of them to basically go in Matthew Stafford's direction in order for him to be a top 10 quarterback this week.
It's a fun game to play, but I'm with you. It's just, I don't think they're going to be pushed in this one, and there's some weather concerns here. Matthew Stafford, I believe, is the only starting quarterback with negative rushing yards on the season so far, so that always, holds him back to some degree. But he's playing out of his mind. Devontae Adams has been a huge upgrade, and I have full faith in the Rams offense in general. It's just we're flipping coins. Is it going to be Kyren Williams and Blake Corum in the end zone, or is it going to be Devontae Adams and Puka?
Next is Justin Herbert at the Miami Dolphins. Only one top 10 scoring week on the season for Justin Herbert. That was obviously week 1. Dolphins invested so much into their defensive line over the past 2-3 seasons. Again, the phrase, you would like to think that the 1 week that team could step up and finally rush the passer this season would be against the backups of the backups that the Chargers are sporting along the offensive line.
You would think, but we shall see. I think they're going to get the ball out quickly. I don't think they're going to run the ball very much. We've seen them just drop back a ton, and they have 2 underneath receivers and Keenan and Ladd McConkey to figure that part out. So I think Justin Herbert's going to be fine. He also has just been scrambling a lot more this year. He's 8th in rushing yards among quarterbacks right now. Also wanted to mention, even though the Chargers are banged up, the Dolphins are equally banged up too. Their secondary has been completely decimated. They're starting a safety at nickel corner. Tyrell Dodson, their linebackers in concussion protocol, he hasn't been practicing. So the pass rush and defensive tackles have not stepped up despite tons of draft capital, but they've been the third worst the third worst defense against fantasy quarterbacks. So it's kind of like bad on bad right now. And I'll just put my faith into Justin Herbert at that point.
Yeah. I mean, 4 of the 5 quarterbacks that the Dolphins have faced have been top 5 scorers at the position.
Oh my gosh.
I do wonder if like the lack of a positive check down outlet is going to be a big deal here for Justin Herbert, because Amari Hampton has been a big positive there in terms of being available, catching the pass, breaking 1 or 2 tackles, creating some, 2nd and 10s into 3rd and 4s. Can you get that with Kamani Vidal? Can you get that with Nyheim Hines? Hassan Haskins, you're not going to get that very much. Yeah. So that is just another issue on top of the offensive line here.
I'd like to see get Aronde Gadsden on the field, go into empty, throw like half field reads where it's Ladd McConkey on slant routes and just take advantage of that stuff. I think it should be a quick time to throw, lots of pass attempts, and he'll end up being pretty solid.
By now, I'm sure you've heard of Chubbies. They are the best elastic, stretchy shorts that you can wear for any type of situation. I just brought them down to Florida on a quick vacation prior to the NFL season. Had the swim trunks, had the shorts, wore them for everything. And would you look at that, folks? For a limited time, our friends at Chubbies are giving our listeners $10 off with promo code The Show at chubbiesshorts.com/The Show. And that's $10 off your order with promo code The Show, which includes the NFL collection. By the way, Chubbies now has the best NFL apparel. So if you're not a jersey person, you can then wear the shorts to support your team. So again, you can support our show and tell them we sent you, express yourself, and level up your game day wardrobe with Chubbies. Also, as I mentioned, Chubbies is the ultimate football apparel brand, so much so that they created their own fantasy football league. George Kittle, Ian Rappaport, and others have come together to assemble the Chubbies League on NFL Fantasy. Each week, the top 5 scorers will win a chance at Chubbies polos and shorts combo with their team's logo on it. The grand champion gets a chance at the ultimate fan experience, a 5-city, 5-stadium NFL game tour with a +1, while the fantasy flop faces a hilarious and unforgettable punishment only Chubbies could pull off. So head to chubbyshorts.com/the Chubbies League to learn more and have some fun. Get ready for the most outrageous fantasy football season of your life.
Bo Nix at the New York Jets is your quarterback 12. If we look at this Broncos team, which, by the way, they're on the road. I think this is Tottenham Hotspur Stadium or Wembley, one of the two, over in London. The Broncos overseas are 7.5-point favorites right now against this Jets team. He's had issues with pressure, completing about 48% of his passes, 4.5 yards per attempt. But the Jets, also a team that's invested a lot in their pass rushing, 31st in pressure rate so far on just 26% of snaps.
I think Jermaine Johnson is returning here, so that would be their top pressure guy. So that would be somewhat of a big deal. Bonix just got to be playing better. He got Cortland Sutton comeback mode in the second half of that game, so that's promising. Yeah, the Jets secondary linebacker group is just pretty bad. They got Sauce Gardner and pretty much nobody else at safety, corner, linebacker, and that tends to be a problem.
He needs to throw down the field a bit more. I mean, we see these shot plays dialed up, but even just him, I'm not talking 20+ yards on the field. Like just 26% of his passes have been 10 or more yards, which is 31st right now. Mm-hmm. And then he's only completing 37% of those 26% of passes right now. It's a get right spot. It's another one to like, let's continue this week on for the rest of the season. And maybe we head into year 3, Bo Nix being, Okay, just don't play him in September because the first 2 seasons have been bad in September. Jared Goff is next for you as your quarterback 13. A really fun matchup here. I mean, it's Mahomes on one side, Goff on the other. They play the game extremely differently, but they both put up offense. They both put up points. Goff here can hit his back foot and totally rip it. And by the way, this Chiefs pass rush, including Chris Jones, just like has not jump started so far this season.
Yeah, they got Karl Loftus and Jones, but everybody else is just not getting it done. And they can only do so much with Spags and the blitzes and stuff against this team because Goff and these guys, they've seen it all. So you kind of just have to let your boys win. I just think the secondary is not as good either. Just missing like the Justin Reed types, not having L'Jarius Sneed as your cornerback too. Like those type of changes over the last couple of years, I do think it's not like the really strong defense that it once was. So I still think there's plenty of advantages for Jared Goff here. So I understand why they're underdogs, even though you can make an argument the Lions are the best team in football. I just think the Chiefs are peaking right now, and I think it's going to be a close game. Who do you got? We typically don't make predictions about games and stuff, but just this is a big one.
I think the majority would be on the Chiefs. I think I'm going to go the Lions here.
The Lions.
I think I'm going to go the Lions.
I like the Chiefs, but
yeah,
I'm expecting.
I always like the Chiefs.
Yeah, it seems to be a pretty good strategy. I think it's going to just go higher.
Not so far this season. They're 2-3.
Let this thing play out. Let this thing play out.
But so far this season, it hasn't been a good strategy, if we're being honest.
Well, I haven't made predictions about this part of the schedule. Wait, you get Rashee Rice back, and then let's.
Well, I know that's what I'm waiting for. Trust me, I'm really waiting for Rashee Rice to come back.
The numbers are starting to look good, and I think Mahomes is playing crazy. I like the higher. If I had to pick one thing, I just think that both these offenses have pretty big advantage over the defenses.
Per the worksheet, Jared Goff using play action 32% of dropbacks. Only Daniel Jones is doing that more often. And against play action, the Chiefs are 31st in passer rating allowed, 10 yards per pass attempt they're allowing, and a 75% completion rate.
Reeves is just out of his mind with all these numbers. Does the man sleep?
Justin Fields versus Denver. Your quarterback 14 on the road. See if he plays better, thousands of miles away than he does in New Jersey. Denver has 14 more sacks plus turnovers than their opponents so far this season, which is the second most in the league. And now they get this offense.
Yeah, we're going to need these fourth quarter points, man. We're going to need a lot of scrambles. We're going to need a lot of it. This was a very difficult ranking because I believe Fields on a per game basis is like the quarterback 3 or 4. And I got him ranked way down here. The team total is so low. It's at 18. And I know it's been that low for some other outings too. And he makes the most of it, but the Broncos are also third best against fantasy quarterbacks. We know how strong their defense is. Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert were held to under 20 fantasy points, and those guys can both run a little bit too. So it makes me nervous. Like, to me, when you have a shutdown corner against your only guy past that you can throw the ball to right now, aside from Mason Taylor, who will get to you in the tight ends part, it makes me nervous. So Pick'em Lobby agrees. He's at 16.8 fantasy points. Everybody else that I've ranked ahead of him is also higher in the Pick'em Lobby. So it's going to be one of these things where you start the other guy, and if you're a big Justin Fields guy, then you can take a higher here, but it's the worst spot he's been in.
Justin Fields in consensus rankings, those at quarterback 14. So they're much closer to you than having him where he's been so far this season. Yeah, you mentioned the fourth quarter stuff. This is a true don't watch until 11:30. If you have
that's during our show.
Your fantasy lineup.
That's during our show. Don't watch that either.
Have both on. Over the past 2 weeks, I mentioned this in the wide receiver show. Fields has been the quarterback 21 in scoring per game through the first 3 quarters, and then the highest scoring quarterback in the fourth quarter. I just think it's kind of difficult to bank on garbage time when you're 0-5 and facing the Denver Broncos, because that just means you've been terrible versus, some other defenses that you can post garbage time on that they've played so far this season. Next is Sam Darnold. Quarterback 15 for you at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Another really fun one. Right now, Sam Darnold off of play action, averaging a league high 19 yards per completion. We talk about it every week when we discuss the Seahawks. They have their identity. They know who they are. It's going to be 12 or 11 or 21 personnel under center, then downfield shots off of that said. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait for this one.
It's going to be great. He looks exactly like the Minnesota Vikings, Sam Darnold. It's the same setup.
I would say better.
It's the offensive line has been hit and miss, and he's relentlessly throwing the ball down the field. He has basically not missed a throw the entire season down the field. It's shocking what he's doing way down the field, and some of it's even out of structure too. So credit where it's due. I think that he's definitely emerging to being that top 10 quarterback real life conversation. I think we're getting to that point. The numbers so far this year definitely make him way higher than that. So
now, with all that said, he's playing well. The team knows who they are. That has and does not translate into really fantasy points so far. He has 1 week of quarterback 10 and then 1 week of quarterback 2 and then others that are outside of like the top 18, the top 20 in quarterback weeks. So it's just not a styling in terms of the volume to make him a huge fantasy asset, which is fine. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just how the position is scored.
We need to fix the scoring in fantasy. You know, you can play the game for now, but really the quarterback should be scoring more points through the air than the proportions are just way off. Let's just be honest. It's insane.
Talked about this before. I agree. Okay. Trevor Lawrence, quarterback 16 against the Seattle Seahawks. I mentioned this, I think in Stats versus Film, and I mentioned this in the wide receiver show, but Liam Cohen is doing really good things for this team. Obviously, they are 4-1, but he has changed how Trevor Lawrence, at least statistically, in a spreadsheet, is attacking defenses. Last year, he was number 2 in 20-plus yard pass attempts. This year, he is 30th, right? Last year with the Bucs, Liam Cohen had Baker Mayfield attacking the 10 to 19 yard range relentlessly. And then Baker was 31st in those 20-plus yard attempts. Guess where Baker Mayfield ranks this year in 20-plus yard attempts? First.
It's got to be a lot higher. I've seen him in the end zone a lot.
Correct. It's number 1. So it's a Liam Cohen thing, which is fine. Yes. It is interesting. It's also on my radar that Cam Wolf, who is quite close to this franchise, continuously says on TV, well, the deep shots are coming. And they have paid off over the last 2 weeks. We saw a BTJ one. We saw a Travis Hunter one in each of the last 2 games. And so I just want like that lever to be pulled a bit more often, that button to be pressed more often. But I'm not sure if Liam wants to do that.
I think they will do it. I believe in those reports too. I think, are those all percentage numbers there? I think they throw a lot of screens. So I think that kind of makes it a little bit wonky. If you remove screens, I would be curious to see what those end up turning out to be. But I've noticed Travis Hunter's routes in the first couple of weeks, a lot more, like gadgety, option routes. And I'm starting to see more post routes and stuff. Not even just the one that he caught, like just the ones he's not even being targeted on. You're seeing a little bit more downfield stuff, which is encouraging. So we'll see. The Seahawks, great defense in general. Julian Love, free safety, he's been banged up. Devin Witherspoon, slot corner, he's been banged up. That's a big deal just because, that's where Travis Hunter's going to be lining up. So I like your call about Travis Hunter playing more wide receiver snaps because of matchups here, and I hope they can get it done.
The other part of this, Robert Hainsey, the center who's played at a high level since coming over from the Bucs, DNP on Wednesday, DNP on Thursday. I'm assuming he's just not going to play with a hamstring issue. Right. So that's a new center. And this Seattle team, their best players are on the interior. When we talk about Byron Murphy, when they talk about Leonard Williams. So that could be a bit of an issue here in comparison to this overperforming Jacksonville Jaguars offensive line so far this season.
It's supposed to be a close game. I think I like the Seahawks a little bit.
I do like the Seahawks as well. Mac Jones. Who? Quarterback 17 at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, so far this season as a starter, Mac Jones, I believe, has finished as quarterback 8, 17, and quarterback 10. I mentioned that when Todd Bowles faced Brock Purdy in this 49ers offense last year, he blitzed Purdy 44% of the time. I doubt that number goes too much lower when you're facing someone like Mac Jones in comparison to Brock Purdy.
It might be Mac Jones in a knee brace. You remember Mac Jones like nearly throwing up and hallucinating on the sideline, playing through all those injuries. So, yeah, we'll see how in good of shape he's in here. I got Ricky Pearsall out, George Kittle out, Juwan Jennings in. Those are my assumptions right now. Tampa Bay also dealing with injuries too, though. Kalijah Kancey's on injured reserve. Zion McCollum and Benjamin Morrison at corner. They haven't been practicing. Jacob Parrish, a rookie, has been playing well, but might be playing out of position in this one. And Tampa Bay, 7th worst in fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks just because they're so good at run defense. So I think you're going to see a lot of quick hitting stuff from Mac Jones, and I trust Shanahan with Mac. I think Mac's playing pretty darn well.
Next up is Tua Tagovailoa against the Los Angeles Chargers. Seeing these two quarterbacks pop up as matchups makes you remember the wars that were being had on, let's say, lesser content programs out there of selecting Tua ahead of Justin Herbert. And I think the answer to that conundrum has been solved.
I mean, Mac versus Tua let's have that conversation. No, I'm mostly trolling. They're actually pretty dang similar, really. The Chargers have a very good defense, and they limit the big plays. So I think it should be a lot of quick hitting stuff, and hopefully they get some yards after the catch threats. But they got two freaks, to match speed wise with Henley and Derwin James. It's just a tough matchup for Tua.
The Chargers defense did their best this week to maybe address the lack of Khalil Mack out there trading for Odafe Oweh. I'm not saying he's like a premier pass rusher, but at least he has some athleticism and some speed and some juice out there. And they've been lacking at that without Khalil Mack on the field. Next, as your quarterback 19, this is Bryce Young on the opposite end of that Dallas Cowboys matchup. Mentioned it in the wide receivers ranking show. Hopefully you tune into that. Everyone's calling this a smash spot for everyone involved. The Panthers are going to play an entirely backup version of the center, right guard, and right tackle spot. And the right tackle one is the biggest issue because that popped up this week after Taylor Moton finished last week. The drop down to Josh Nijman is a massive, massive downgrade. And to be honest, while it was a bit of a butt of a joke early to start the season, the Cowboys pass rush kind of woke up prior to the bye week. Or I shouldn't say prior to the bye week, just in recent weeks.
Right. I agree. It's people that cover the Panthers closely, their fans, they're saying that the center is like really not really a downgrade.
Nope.
I would say the right guard, like you losing Robert Hunt, that's a downgrade. I don't care if the right guard's handling things well, like that's still a downgrade. And Taylor Moton's a big downgrade, like you said. So even if the center's, let's call it a wash, or you can even say it's an upgrade, right guard, right tackle is a big downgrade. So that makes me a little bit nervous. That said, they're still projected for above average points, which we don't typically say, and the Cowboys can't stop anybody through the air. So I still think this is like good matchup. It could have been better with Moton though.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't believe that this could be a really nice one. It just might not be as clean of a spot as previously perceived. Dallas did pressure Jordan Love on 41% of his dropbacks and Justin Fields on 47% of his dropbacks. Next is Geno Smith, quarterback 20. Geno Smith is pressuring himself at this moment and his job security moving forward. Now he gets the Tennessee Titans. These offense right now, Hayden, are 29th and 31st in points per drive across the league. This is not what Pete Carroll signed up for. This is not what Chip Kelly signed up for. This is not what Geno and Tom Brady and everyone else signed up for. But, his issues are pretty obvious and easy. Stop throwing crippling interceptions. Stop skipping some reads out there. He doesn't really look comfortable or maybe full concentration on every single snap. But the Tennessee Titans are a great deodorant in order to fix that this weekend.
Arden Key is on the injury report. Tavondre Sweat has been out for a while, so you're kind of going tit for tat without having Colton Miller here. Yeah, he can get hot at any point. He can also get very cold too. So with the people saying that he's going to get benched, look, like anything's possible. He has $18 million guaranteed next year. $18 million guaranteed the following season. So I think we're a long way away from that.
He's at 15 3/4 fantasy points right now in the Pick'em Lobby. 224 passing yards is still quite high. I know this is the Titans, but that's still.
He's 11th in passing yards this year. It's the interceptions, and they're bad ones.
They've been real bad. Yes,
I'm not diminishing. He's moving the football only to throw it to the other team.
Correct. Yeah, just throw it to your own team. Now it's also difficult it is to get Michael Mayer back. So that's a win
big.
too.
That is.
Okay, Spencer Rattler against the New England Patriots is up next. Rattler first win last week of the season. Rattler can move around, can be nimble, can be frisky, can be feisty. This Patriots pass rush is quite fun, especially the interior, and their run defense is excellent too. So this is, again, Rattler in a big spot.
He's one of these guys that has some actual raw traits. Remember, he's a top 10 overall recruit out of high school, consensus 5-star. He's got a live arm, could run around it like enough. So the more he plays football, the better he's going to get. He was so inexperienced. He had a lot of problems in college, just reading things out, and he was under pressure a lot. So hopefully that settles down. The Saints offensive line's been pretty whack. A lot of injuries and young players. So that makes me nervous because the Patriots have a lot of depth in the front seven. They've got Christian Gonzalez in the secondary. So not a clean spot for Spencer Rattler. I think the Patriots defense should be at least league average from this point moving forward.
Yeah, this one might come back to bite me, but I did take the Saints at the plus 3.5 at home here. Just leaning into my
Get that
love.
hook.
Yeah. Michael Penix, quarterback 22 against the Buffalo Bills. He must feel like he's playing an entirely different sport than he did at the University of Washington. He is not throwing the football down the field at all this season. And on top of it, he's not completing those passes either. He's completing just 17 of 45 of his throws 10 plus yards. That's 28th in the NFL.
Yeah, it's me just a slow offense over the middle. So I think his yards after the catch ability and their cornerback depth I think is pretty lackluster. So I'm curious if they get Drake London back in the slot like they did heading into the bye week. No Matt Milano on the practice report right now either. They're linebackers. So yeah, it's a fine spot for him. This offense just like so unique. It's pretty much the Kirk Cousins offense. Like what has been different? The like stylistically, it's pistol, get the ball out, throw it to the sideline a bunch, and not my favorite offense to watch, despite how much talent they have. It's just
they really needed the bye week when they had it.
That is true.
To really lean into it. I mean, Bijan Robinson has been excellent so far this season, but because they just play in pistol all the time, the Falcons have the second lowest play action rate in the NFL. I know you don't need to run the ball effectively in order to have play action pass, but I'm sure it doesn't hurt. And then if you're so good in that department and running the football, wouldn't you think that also you'd be very successful and like one of the highest rates of play action in the league? And they're just not doing it.
Yeah. The studies are on the pistol is the time it takes that you're showing play action is less than under center because you have less distance, which means that the linebackers aren't also crashing down. So play action effectiveness out of the pistol is worse. And that's why teams don't actually run pistol. I'll
be very interested. I'll do it for Stats vs. Film this week. Just see the differences in the first 4 games versus this singular development and if anything changed for them during the bye week. Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback 23 for you. Sorry, I have him in his Jets uniform here. This is against the Cleveland Browns. We joked this might be the quickest time to throw in the NFL this season against, Myles Garrett, Graham, all these guys up front.
And could you blame him? It would be me too, at 41 years old or whatever. So yeah, don't have a lot of faith in this one. We'll see if Calvin Austin suits up. I think you get Jalen Warren back and then you got Kenny Gainwell. So and you got all of these tight ends. They're using crazy tight end formations. Big boy Darnell Washington's out there. So I think it's going to be a limited offense in terms of downfield attempts. I think his accuracy has been a lot worse now versus the last couple seasons even. So we'll see. They're getting DK Metcalf used in interesting ways, but aside from that, I think this offense is one of these, one of the units I think to just take a step back versus what their record is showing through 5 weeks. But maybe that's classic Mike Tomlin and never doubt it.
Obviously, this Browns team runs a decently high rate of man coverage. Rodgers is averaging a league low 4 yards per pass attempts against man coverage. I don't know, guys. Next, Jacoby Brissett for you is quarterback 24. We are expecting him to start this game against the Indianapolis Colts. Your thoughts just overall, what does this change for the Cardinals, which has been a majorly hot and cold offense that has failed to put together 4 quarters of positive action so far?
Well, Kyler does make legit plays with his legs. So you remove all of that, but you are going to swap that out with probably more throws over the middle, maybe more under center play action, just, dig routes out of Jacoby. There was a time where I thought Jacoby Brissett was an actual starter, but since then, he just hasn't played all that well. Remember, the stint ahead of Drake Maye was not all that pretty. So I'm pretty nervous. I think that there's big problemas with the Cardinals. Tip Ryman out. They can't block anybody up front. Their offensive line. So now what's the identity? You're going to be I think more of just a pass first offense. Do you have the horses for that? Do you have the outside speed for that? I don't know. I think this team's going to feel very constricted. And without Kyler Murray, even if Kyler Murray plays, if it's foot sprain Kyler Murray is not making the plays out of structure, then you're just going to feel like this offense is going to be struggling to have a lot of downfield success.
Dillon Gabriel, the Browns starter at the Pittsburgh Steelers here, again on the road, his first start here in the U.S., I believe. There were some positives and negatives to Dillon Gabriel's play in that, he gets the ball out quick. You can tell he knows where to go with the football. Just the football getting to the right person in an area where you could catch the football was a bit of an issue. And I'm not saying that Gabriel is a statue, but at the same time, I am calling him shorter and not a scrambler and maybe not overly athletic on top of it. So like there's some limitations to him. But at the same time, I don't think it's any worse than, and it's probably better than what Joe Flacco was putting out there. That's for sure.
I'll say it's better. He's a version of Tua. I don't think it's all that different. I think Tua's accuracy is better, though. I think that's like the big difference. And Dillon Gabriel has this like little, maybe like overcompensating for his lack of arm strength and like really wants to whip it in there. I think that's when the ball can kind of spray. So those are things to pay attention to. Steelers have been getting lit up, though. They've had coverage busts, deep throws over the middle. They've really struggled against. They're fourth worst against fantasy quarterbacks as well. They don't have Jalen Ramsey, too. So I don't think this is like some studly defense. I do think that TJ Watt can get after this offensive line dealing with some injuries. So that's going to be the thing to watch. But I think the secondaries could be had.
What if this is the week for Cam Ward to rank inside the top 24? You know, what if against a Las Vegas Raiders defense that is Max Crosby and everyone else, they get JC Latham back, you know, they have both their tackles. That's a big deal.
That is.
What has also been a negatively big deal is that 56% of the Titans series and sets of downs have reached third down. That's 31st in the league. And the Titans, once getting to third down, have converted a league worst 29% of their third downs so far this season.
Throw them ahead of Jacoby Brissett and Dillon Gabriel. I like it.
There we go.
You know,
had to do it.
Put him ahead of Rodgers. Put him ahead of Rodgers. Come on.
All right. I like
there
it.
We go.
Nice.
That's better.
Okay. We'll keep moving. Cooper Rush against the Los Angeles Rams. I made a bigger spiel for Zay Flowers, I should say, in the wide receiver show. That is no indication of moving Cooper Rush here, though. That is just an individual Zay Flowers versus this Rams defensive back group.
In my poor super flex league, I got Lamar and Brock Purdy, so I'm scrambling. I picked up Cooper Rush, and then I also picked up Tyler Huntley because I did think there was a chance that they were going to swap him out. So at one point, I had 3 Ravens quarterbacks. That's never a good sign.
Okay, we'll close this out with Joe Flacco, who is throwing to your wide receiver 9 this week as quarterback 28 against the Green Bay Packers. Again, he played for the 32nd best offensive line per all the metrics out there with the Cleveland Browns, and now he's going to the 31st ranked offensive line here with the Cincinnati Bengals. What was notable to me is when they made this trade, and it was very obvious that Joe Flacco was going to be the starter, the line only moved by half a point.
Hey, we'll take that half a point. That means more yardage. You know, hey, that's first week. Joe Flacco flying, you know, just commercial, just trying to get there. Move him ahead of Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush can get benched. Joe Flacco's not going to get benched here. You know, let's make some movement at the end here.
All right, that's going to do it. Well, we'll go to tight ends real quick.
Yep.
I'll just read through these. Your tight end 1 through 6, Trey McBride, Jake Ferguson, Tyler Warren, then a little bit of a tear break maybe, Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, and Tucker Kraft. This is a sweet top 6 and features a couple players that definitely were not in the top 6 conversation to open the season, especially Darren Waller, but I even throw in Jake Ferguson in there too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Jake Ferguson's so obvious. I think Darren Waller, some people are going to have some, like how much of this is real. I think it's very real. Like you said on the recap show, he was limited to 30 snaps, just dominated. I think the snap count's going to go way up here, and he's getting a bunch of first read targets. So I like Darren Waller. Travis Kelce looks much better with the team total going up. Same thing with Tucker Kraft. And then I think like the new big name for me is just Mason Taylor. And I don't know where he is in consensus rankings, but I have him at tight end 7. I think a lot of people play full PPR, and I think he's going to be a full PPR monster in general. His usage is all the way up. He had 15 expected points last week. And if we think that Surtain's going to be all over Garrett Wilson, then you got to throw the ball to somebody else. And somebody else is going to be Mason Taylor. So I can't promise touchdowns, but if you're in a full PPR scam it up situation, I think that Mason Taylor is looking pretty solid.
Yep. The rest of that 7 through 12, Mason Taylor, Hunter Henry, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta, Evan Ingram, and then Jake Tonjes, who looks like an actor playing a football player in a movie.
Not a bad spot to be in life. If you're saying I got the looks of an actor, but I'm also an NFL player, you know, that's Greg Olsen.
Kyle Pitts, David Njoku, Zach Ertz, Harold Fannin. So 2 Browns tight ends here. Then we get my guy, AJ Barner. And then sadly, Juwan Johnson all the way down this list. It was a really nice like opening 4 weeks here for Juwan.
It was.
I'm afraid this is like our first, we pick him up after week 1 and are expecting a lot. We get that a lot for the first 4 weeks. And then we almost have to like set him out into the distance already.
I think the reason why I have Juwan ranked slow low is Taysom Hill is just limiting how many pass attempts there are because all of his plays are wildcat nonsense. That's also going to trickle down to the goal line packages. And I think it's just Foster Moreau back as well. So there's just more competition for Juwan. I will say this. If you guys go to the Pick'em lobby and look up all of these players, the top 8 or so are in the 30s and 40s. Everybody else is like 28, 31. So we're truly flipping coins. And a lot of these guys in the next, like the third tier, are playing on horrific offenses. So it's tough. That's why I kind of like Mason Taylor, where I just think that he could be like the consistent volume sponge versus a lot of these other guys who are a little bit more hit and miss in terms of their usage, I think.
To me, there's a legit teardrop after Sam Laporta.
Like Evan Ingram had a weird big game the last couple of games, but the other games were so limited that I'm in and out with you.
Yeah, I think it's like Laporta. Yeah. And then obviously we talk about like the McBride and Ferguson, and I guess Warren.
Warren looks great. Warren looks great. I mean, Kelsey's been putting up decent. He's been up decent numbers.
Speaking of numbers, I think Zach Ertz just went catchless for the first time in like 81 games this past week. Yeah. So maybe in all the meetings this week, it's like, hey, let's make sure Zachy gets back his streak here.
Get back to one. And if you catch one pass, you're the wider. You're the tight end 20. You just with one reception.
And then we close this out with Colson Loveland and Mark Andrews. Colson Loveland is still in the injury report, by the way. He's getting in like limited or questionable work right now. So we'll see. I mean, he's a really good player. I just would really like to see it at some point.
I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping. So we'll see.
That does it. Again, we have running back rankings on the channel, wide receivers, and here you got quarterbacks and tight ends. We also have a trade show with Faraz that we picked out our favorite buy lows and sell highs, along with 8 or 9 of your viewer questions. So appreciate you checking out all the content. We'll be back here on Sunday morning for a start sit show, answering your questions for a few hours leading up to kickoff. That'll do it. Shout out Moshe Weaves behind the scenes, Hayden in front, and up the Villa. We'll talk to y'all soon. See ya.